All right, everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of Firepunk Friday. So I always enjoy weeks like this coming off of a race week. It definitely gives me a lot more to talk about without having to put just a ton of thought into it. But with Shide this last weekend, it was, for the most part, a really good weekend. The Waggler crew and the Shide crew really did a good job, as always, putting on a great event. I definitely kind of had my questions when they moved the event from Terre Haute out to Waggler. Just the big event that they had at Terre Haute, you kind of didn't know how it would work out in the middle of the country, but they've done a really good job of putting in a lot of area for camping and really kind of almost gives it a fair feel. I really like how everything is right there, kind of in one spot. The racetrack is only a couple hundred feet from the pulling track, and they've got vendors everywhere, in between the pulling track and the racing track. There's lots of food vendors and diesel vendors, and so a lot of fun. Kind of had hopes that we'd have a nice cool weekend with the weather that we've had the last few weeks, but as usual, we had a pretty hot one for Shide. We've had worse, so definitely can't complain. It was dry all weekend, and we got a lot of good racing in. Kind of had its ups and downs with coming off of Crossville and the unfortunate accident of Turbo Tom. Kind of had everybody, that was on everybody's mind going into this, and was a little bit hard to, get as excited about a race weekend as what we would be sometimes. So that's always in the back of your mind. And then Friday evening, Johnny Gilbert had a mishap with his car where chutes didn't come out, and he ended up going off the end of the track into the net. And that really, everybody held our breaths collectively on that one. But it was really nice from the standpoint of there was track crew on him almost as soon as it happened. And I think maybe even before the medics made it up to the car, there was word passed back to the starting line that Johnny was okay and, had a thumbs up. And so everybody definitely had a big sigh of relief when we found out that Johnny was okay. And then definitely a little bit sore and banged up. I think I saw today where they said they recorded like -9 Gs on the accident. So, and I think if I understand right, he went into the net sideways. So anytime that happens, your harness and Hans and stuff can't protect you quite as well as what it would with a frontal impact. So kind of extra sore ribs and some stuff like that. But glad to see Johnny's, on his feet and in good spirits. We talked about that quite a bit over the weekend, just kind of throwing out ideas and like what might have happened and how we can make things better. And it's a risk that we all take, knowingly when we get in a race car. We talk about 170 and 180 mile an hour like it's nothing. When everything is going right, it's just a number, and you don't really think about it until when you start talking about accidents and you really start, thinking about how fast. I mean, 180 mile an hour, that's about 3 times as fast as what you're going on the road most of the time. And when you think of a 3,000-pound object going that kind of speed and what it takes, we stop those vehicles in 1,200 feet on a pretty regular, consistent basis. And it just takes, one small thing to go wrong for that to go sideways. So always puts a new twist on things and puts things in perspective when stuff like that happens. But this week we're thankful for safety equipment that did its job, and it did tear the safety net at the end of the track. And I want to credit the guys that did the shutdown at Waggler's as well. Seems like there was a good bit of thought put into that with the way the gravel trap is, and then there's the net as well. And then there's, at the end of the gravel trap, there's barrels half full of water, and there's hay bales, and there's tires, and there's quite a bit of stuff there to stop a vehicle. So definitely one of the things that we've all talked about, after these last couple races is when you go racing, make sure that what the top end of the track looks like and build some exit strategies if you don't have brakes or if you don't have chutes, know what you're going to do, where the good places are to try to go. You're not going to be able to avoid everything, but a little bit of forethought can definitely help in certain situations. So some of us walked the track Friday evening, and we're kind of doing some analysis of like some of his skid marks and stuff. And from the finish line to where the first set of skid marks were from sliding the tires was about 400 feet. And according to the math that we did, it took him at 170 mile an hour. That would have taken him roughly a second and a half to cover that ground. And that's the time that it took for him to, wait for the chutes to hit, because typically you don't want to get on the brakes until after you feel the chute hit. And for him to realize that there's not going to be any chutes and then to get on the brakes. And so, 400 feet in, you're already a third of the way down the shutdown. And now you're going 150, 160 mile an hour. And, you don't have a lot of space to do it. So stuff happens really fast. Glad to see Johnny was able to manage the car as good as he did and keep it on all fours, really. That's huge if you can keep a vehicle on the wheels and let the safety equipment do its work. So anyhow, enough of my ramblings, I guess. But going into Saturday, they had a fresh net up, and we had a new day of racing. We had a little bit of a scare Saturday as well. Steve Royalty put climate change into the sand trap. Nothing near as serious as what Johnny did. Something where we were able to, he didn't go into the sand trap very far, and they were able to pull him out, and he was able to continue racing. So glad to hear he's okay as well. And but aside from that, Saturday was a really good full day of racing. A number of guys kind of had their issues to fight through, especially in Pro Street. But the Ohio boys got it done in the bracket and ET classes. Let's see, I think Ryan Riddle won ET. Kevin Fry from here in Plain City won 770, and Landon was able to bring home 770. And then Austin Denny won Pro Street, and Ben Shaddy won Pro Mod while resetting the Pro Mod ET record. We had it at 418, and he was able to lower that to 416. So that was fun to watch. Congrats to him. And then Matty Graves won Top Dragster. So this week we're going to talk to Austin Denny. He won Pro Street this week with his 6.0. So there's lots of guys, hanging their heads because not lots, but there's a couple of guys hanging their heads this week because we got beat by a 6.0. But congrats to Denny on that accomplishment, and couldn't have happened to a much better guy and harder working crew. So enjoy our conversation with him. All right, second time's a charm. So I'll not even pretend like this is the first that I've talked to you today, but turns out I'm kind of an idiot. And we did this earlier today, and somebody forgot to hit record. So here we are. I'm in my happy place sitting on the back porch, and Austin was nice enough to join me again tonight to do this again. So how are we doing, Denny?
What's up, Lynn?
You get much done tonight?
I got a long block stacked back together just for transportation needs and put on a pallet and loaded in the truck for Grandma and Grandpa tomorrow.
There you go. Nice.
So I was trying to finish up when you texted me, and I was like, I'll be in a second.
All right. So for those of you that don't know, is Austin Denny. He won Pro Street at Shy this last weekend, and definitely a little bit of a rough start to the weekend, but really good ending to it. So figured we'd chat with him a bit today and talk about, why he likes 6.0s and how he likes to work hard and all that fun stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself, how you got into this, and, why a 6.0 or why a Ford?
Started out as a 16-year-old kid. Mom and Dad bought a camper, and they needed something to pull the camper. They were originally looking for 7.3s. Kind of glad they didn't get one of those, but they settled on a 6-liter, knowing that they kind of were starting to be known for problems. They bought the truck and moved the camper one time, and then the camper never moved again. So the truck was just sitting there, and I started driving it, and then 6-liter problems kind of started for it, and blew some head gaskets and injectors, and they paid to have it fixed the first time. Then come on about a year later, they went on vacation one time, and I was like, I think I want to tear into this thing myself, give her a little more power and stuff. So ordered a set of injectors and a turbo, and I wanted to O-ring the heads. So while they were on vacation, I sent Dad a picture. A day later, the cab pulled off, and I kind of got like a face to palm emoji and him freaking out, like, what is going on and what are you doing, basically. And it's been a downhill slide ever since.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So yeah, it seems kind of like a common theme with a lot of people that I talk to. Seems like we all kind of start working on our own trucks kind of out of necessity. We want to make more horsepower. We want to go faster. And it seems like the dollar goes a little further when, you can put your own elbow grease in. So we all kind of start that slippery slope downward by, trying to save some money. And then in the long run, we just, I don't know, don't stop, I guess.
No, it is definitely turned into it's turned into something that I don't know what I'd be doing without it, realistically.
Yeah. Yep. So that was, is that the quad cab that you still have, or is that a different one?
Nope, that's the black crew cab that my dad actually raced in 770 this weekend. I've kept that truck for my I mean, it's going to be with me for life. It's kind of like quad cab with Levon. I don't see Levon ever getting rid of that thing.
Right. Yeah. I think definitely would have to be some, I don't know, very different circumstances for something like that to happen. I would have also said that about Levon's VP when he had it, but kind of the opportunity came along and it just like made a lot of sense to go to the quad cab. But yeah, some of those trucks, once you make enough memories with them and learn enough stuff, it's just kind of hard to move on from them. So yeah, but so you still have the quad cab. When did your single cab come into play?
The single cab came in when it would have been my freshman year of college, because the crew cab got fast enough that the drag strip told me it needed a roll bar, and it was just too nice of a truck for me to
Yeah.
justify cutting into, and I had no idea what I was doing at that point in time. So got on old carguru.com and found a old base model work truck out of Kansas, and I had it shipped to the house, and within 2 days it was just a frame and getting
Yeah.
cut up, and you go race 670.
Yeah. Well, at least you started with a base model. It seems like, I don't know, when we bought I guess what was the Pro Street truck, after we got done with that build, we kind of questioned why we even bought a truck. Like, we felt like we almost should have maybe just bought a cab and started from there.
That's
But
there's a couple trucks out there right now that I question why.
yeah,
it's
right.
it's you guys got tubes going everywhere.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your truck and kind of the progression of it. You race 670. How long do you do that?
Yeah, I raced 670 for 3 years. Started doing pretty good in points, actually, kind of figuring things out. I think the highest we finished in points was like fourth or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
then the next progression was the 590 class came around, and that's when things got serious real fast, and people started questioning how intelligent I was at times, because I was like, let's put an 850 cage. This thing I run 590 with a 6-liter. They ain't never been in the fives before that. So I was like,
Right.
we can make it happen.
Yeah.
Kind of spent 2 years in 590, set the 6-liter record, got down in the fives, finished third and fourth my 2 years in 590 in points. And
Okay.
then out of, I don't know whether it's lack of intelligence at times or just the need to go faster, because
Mm-hmm.
590 was getting to the point we were pushing the truck for 300 feet and then lifting, trying to run the number, and kind of Jesse being in my ear like, "Hey, it's time to go faster now." So we jumped up into the Pro Street realm and put a 25/6 cert cage in the truck, and it's been a whirlwind of an adventure so far this year.
Yeah. No, I mean, I always caution people, think twice before you make that jump from 590 to Pro Street. I guess it depends a little bit what you want out of it. In your situation, you're pushing a platform that hasn't ever been there, and and I think you have the drive and the willingness to put the work in. Whereas some people really just want to go to the racetrack and actually enjoy racing without doing a lot of wrenching while you're at the track. So I don't know. I think that's where 590 really can shine. It doesn't take quite the pocketbook, and you're not wrenching on your truck all weekend. But you are limited to a time then, and it is a little bit different. But I know a lot of people get this, perception that it's an index class, so it's boring and slow. But 590 is no joke. I mean, we're not that far removed from Pro Street, running 590s and not much faster than that. But yeah, definitely, it's been a good deal for you. You've made the jump and made pretty quick progress. Not without its headaches this year, but yeah. So what start of the year? I don't know, what were you running? 540s, 550s. I mean, I guess at UCC
the
you got
first
it into the
Waggler
40s,
event
right?
we had, that spring nationals event, I would have qualified number one in 590 because the first qualifying pass was like a 590, and I was like, well, this isn't looking good. And I vividly remember unloading the truck saying, I'm running Pro Street, and Derek was already there testing, and he busted off like a 464 or something. I said, what the hell am I doing? Like, this isn't not looking good. And then I just sat there the rest of the day. I made like one test pass, and then I look up and he's like down in the 440s, and I'm like, all right,
Huh.
this is looking real bad now.
Yeah. Kind of felt like you might as well just race yourself and forget about the rest of it, huh?
But it really was. I was like, man, maybe I need to spend another year in 590. But the bullheadedness and I don't know,
Yeah.
desire to keep going faster. Just
Yeah.
I was like, screw it, we'll have a fun year of learning this platform a little bit more and listening to everybody yell at me to keep adding nitrous.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I mean at UCC you started making some progress, but then like you really made a big jump this last weekend. Like what was the big difference? From what you started the year with to what made you go 528 now. What was the biggest change you made?
I would have to say listening to Levon. I'd say at like UCC, I had like middle schooler type level nitrous going on, and I thought I was doing something. And then Levon kind of looked at me and said, "Look, you need to pull fuel out of this thing and like put some dang nitrous to it."
Right.
So that quickly turned into about 2 weeks of me replumbing nitrous systems like 3 times until I kind of got the okay approval and added another nitrous bottle, and now we're spraying big boy nitrous.
There you go. So I guess just to kind of clarify that, when you started the season, you were throwing a ton of fuel at it, and you were cautiously adding nitrous because obviously you're concerned about going crazy and making a lot of heat and all that kind of stuff. So it's like we keep talking about. You were starting from the lean side of the fuel curve, and really it took actually pulling fuel back and then trying to go all the way over to the lean side of stuff to really start making clean power, keeping temps in check, and making more power. So yeah, you went completely redid nitrous. What was your old nitrous setup like jet wise versus what you're running now?
So I went from having one 375 solenoid and two 153 solenoids ran in like series with like a single dash 8 feed line,
Mm-hmm.
not exactly knowing what I was doing. Like I had an idea. I was like, well, I added some solenoids, that'll help. Another kid or two. Not thinking that the restriction in the middle of the little 1/8 inch unions that I was using to daisy chain the solenoids together, like that's just not intelligent anymore to do. Looking back, I don't know what I was doing. But
Yeah.
I was spraying at UCC I had 4 136 jets loaded in. I'm thinking, man, I'm spraying down the house. Then I'd weigh the bottle and I use like 2.4 pounds or something in a pass to go 544, and I was like, well, okay, I know what
Yeah.
the S10's using. I know what Steve just told me Johnny used, and I was like, I gotta figure something out. And then Levon is all smart and this goes, hey, call Tony over at Hammer Tech. They make these things called Mega Jets. And I was like, oh yeah? And he's like, yeah. Then go completely redo all of this. So then
Yep.
it turned into 2-8 feeds off 2 15-pound bottles, feeding 375 solenoids. 2 of them have -6 lines going to those Mega Jets, and when those things come on.
Yeah. No, those mega jets really are a game changer, in my opinion. It gives you the ability to to plumb big boy nitrous onto a truck. You run -8 all the way to a 375 solenoid. Then you run a single -6 line from the solenoid up to the mega jet. And then the beauty of the mega jet is you can put the adapter in and run regular small nitrous jets if you want, or you can go with the big boy jets all the way up to a 325 orifice. So those things are really nice from the standpoint of not having to put a bunch of small jets in and splitters and -4 lines, and really simplifies things a lot. So either his nitrous cannon, or my preference, just kind of for simplicity, and it's a little bit easier on the pocketbook, is utilizing those mega jets, and really does a lot for your nitrous setup. But yeah, makes a big change. It's really cool to actually be able to see your truck go down the track the entire length of the track, rather than seeing it disappear in a cloud of smoke.
Yeah, I think
And
we went from like 12-1 or 13-1, like running like a super stock truck, to the last pass against Justin. The average was 23.9-1. So
there you go. Yeah, that's a little more like it.
it was a lot different. I was watching videos like, man, this is different. I can actually see what's going on.
Yep. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I know we sound probably like a broken record with the nitrous stuff, but definitely more nitrous is just kind of the answer to a lot of stuff when you want to go fast. But obviously, you need to control it all, and you need to make sure that you're not right there in that middle zone where you make a ton of heat and melt stuff down. So air fuel ratio is a good thing. I think you had said this was your first weekend with a live AFR on the truck.
Yep, it was. It was the first year. Race Pack finally got them back in stock, so we're finally we get our hands on one and get it in the stack and start seeing what
Gotcha.
was going on.
Sweet. Yeah, I was going to ask you how you were monitoring that, but yeah, Race Pack, that works out pretty good. So cool. So your weekend started rough. Let's talk a little bit about how the weekend went and how it started and all that fun stuff.
The weekend started out exactly how, if you drew a diagram of how you wanted your weekend to start out, it was the exact opposite. So I go up there for Q1, start spooling the truck, and I'm like, man, this thing spooled a lot easier at home. I don't know what the heck's going on. And then all of a sudden, people are running around the truck as it shut itself off because it was pumping all the oil out of it, because it had blown a pressed in plug that's in the top of the high pressure oil pump. It decided to just go bouncing down the track, and it blew itself out. And of course, Ricky's the one that finds it and comes walking up to me like, hey, this is a part of your truck. I'm like, great. So we got that off the track. My mom, love her, bless her soul, she drove to Terre Haute, found another pump at one of the Ford dealerships right before they closed on Friday. We put that pump in, and through that whole mess, we missed Q2. We think we got the truck fixed. Everything's great. Me and David adjust the shift linkage a bit, and then somehow in that mad rush, the shift linkage went from the shifter being in drive, but when the shifter was in drive on the transmission, it was in manual second gear. None of us
That's
knew
not.
that because I leave in second gear. So when I put it in drive, it goes to second every time. I idled up to the line, and for Q3, uh, the whole staging process went great. We launched the truck, and it set me in the seat, and I was like, I ain't never felt this thing pulling like this. And then, right when it should have clicked third, it didn't click third, and before I could think about it, it was banging the rev limiter at 5,700, and it actually blew the side galley plug out of the brand new pump. And I'm like, well, crap. Now we have no more low pressure oil. Well, this isn't good. So I had to rob Peter to pay Paul. I had to steal the crew cab and put it in the Pro Street truck. So my theory was, well, I have to qualify again before Dad has to start making runs. So he has time to go find another pump and we can fix it. Somehow all that worked out, and we came up for Q4, and I launched the truck, and I'm like, man, it's not pulling like it was yesterday. I don't know what's going on. And we went to, it's kind of funny to think about it. I'm upset with a 567 anymore, but I was not happy at all. I was like, I'm sitting at the bottom of the ladder. Justin gets the bye. I got to race RLC now, and he's in second in points. I'm third in points. I'd like to be able to win that, but I feel like I'm got my hand tied behind my back because I don't know what the heck's wrong with this truck or why we're not going fast or what's going on. So, kind of.
So yeah, altogether, not really the qualifying session that you wanted, and I think at that point you would have just taken a little bit of anything, and yeah, you would have probably said we're all crazy if we told you you're going to win Pro Street at that point.
I would have, yeah, no. I would have thought everybody bumped their head or something. Or it's like, you
Yeah,
could have told
well,
me at
yeah.
any of these races I'm going to win Pro Street. And I've been like, look, guys, I got a 6-liter. I don't know if you know their track record in ODSS. Because I did confirm with Greg Jolly, a 6-liter has never won an ODSS race, period, in any class.
Oh, come on. In no classes at
He's,
all?
that's what he said. I
That's
asked him,
pretty
I said, has a
crazy.
6-liter ever won any class at all in ODSS? He goes, I don't think so.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
So I guess we
To say,
started out good. We'll take Pro Street first.
yeah, I mean, sure, why not start there, right? That's awesome. So, fortunately, you weren't the only ones that was you weren't the only one that was having headaches this weekend. Kind of seemed like most of the Pro Street class took their turns in having their issues. I know the Burkharts fought a CP3 gear pump. I think they had actually changed the pump and thought they had it fixed, and then I think the gear still didn't work right on the new pump or something like that. So they didn't have just the greatest of weekends. Ziegler was trying to figure out a new torque converter, and then we switched turbos, halfway through qualifying. So just a lot of things to sort out on that truck yet. And Dalton had his converter issues. Just, kind of a host of things for everybody. So going into first round, you were matched up with Dalton first round, is that right?
Yeah, I had Michael. Ziegler had a bye, and Tyler had Ethan.
Okay, gotcha. So how did your race go against Dalton?
Well, I didn't know what to expect. Kind of spooled the truck up and was hoping for the best. We went to the mechanical IPR. We found out being the problem that we backed it off too far, trying to compensate for changing pumps. And I told David I'd rather break another pump and try to be fast than be miserably slow again. So we tightened the pump down, or the regulator down, launched against Michael, and the truck was back. And it set me in the seat, and I kind of glanced over at like 10 feet, and Michael was still with me. And then I glanced over at 30 feet, and he was not with me anymore, and he was pedaling it and
kicking the tires.
I was like kind of in shock for a minute. I'm like, oh my God, this thing's on a pass and we're winning around Pro Street finally. Then I got the time slip and it said 5:35, and I was even more excited because that means we took the record back.
Yeah.
But I was happy with that round for sure.
Yeah, from what I remember of that round, I mean, it was a clean, pretty uneventful pass. Like, I didn't think the truck was all over the place or anything like that. Like, kind of goes to show again, like smooth is fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then,
Yeah.
see from there, you have what? You have a bye second round, or you? I don't remember what happened
Yep.
second round. Yeah.
Nope. I got lucky. Me and Michael were on the bottom side of the bracket, so once I won that round, I got a bye into the finals. So second round just broke the beams, took the little teardrop lane there right into my own pit, and
Mm-hmm.
hurried up and jumped out of the truck and watched Tyler try to screw Justin up on the tree in his attempt there.
That one bit him in the shorts a little bit.
It was very entertaining to watch because neither of them wanted to go into that beam first, and I was like,
right.
"Oh my gosh, this is great! Like this is what we need."
Yeah. No, he definitely did a good job of kind of playing the game, knowing that he was going to have to do something on the tree if he wanted to win that round, with his truck being hurt and everything. But after them waiting each other out, Tyler grabbed 2 bulbs pretty quick, and then I think he was maybe wired a little bit plenty tight and ended up turning on the red light. So, yeah, it didn't work out in the end, but I guess sometimes you got to try things.
You got when you go in there like that against Justin, the truck's gonna be fast. He had to. He was doing anything he could to try to get around, and win, and get some points. So I applaud him for the effort.
Right. And then going into the finals, I mean, you thought you practically had that wrapped up. Figure you just had to show up at the starting line and you'd be good, huh?
Yeah, right. I saw Levon with his little laptop scootering on over there, and I saw Cody pulling nitrous jets out, and I was like, man, like, we're screwed. But
yeah, he was pulling nitrous jets out to actually take nitrous out of the truck. I said he had the nitrous jets out because we were actually taking nitrous out of the truck because we had failed to make it past the 100-foot mark all weekend long. I don't know, the truck makes a lot of power in that range, and we just hadn't gotten a handle on it yet. But I mean, turned out that was the cleanest pass of the weekend. It did go 512, but I guess Justin was making a sandwich while watching you leave the line or something.
I think he kind of just felt bad for me. He was doing me a favor. He said, man, my truck makes so much power, I'll let him get 100 feet out, then I'll just run him down.
And he got close to running it down.
He didn't give me that memo, though, because I loaded enough nitrous to make a connecting rod look like a piece of spaghetti.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we ran into Dalton that night at dinner, and we're walking across the parking lot, and Levon sees Dalton. He's like, hey, Dalton, you know what we have in common? And Dalton's like, nope. He's like, we both lost to a 6-0 today. Dalton just hung his head.
Nah, he was happy after the round. Michael was actually. He's like, dude, I don't know how you're doing what you're doing, but keep doing it because I love watching it.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that. It's good to know that people are kind of taking notice of what we got going on over there. And it's finally the people that keep putting money in there and backing me up for some reason, like the guys at Warren and Larry over at SoCal and Kyle. It's nice to finally get something going for them because I felt like this year we've being in the Pro Street class, you can get overlooked really fast when you're not 2/10 off the field.
Right. Well, I mean, it's, when you're pushing, doing things with your platform that haven't been done before, it definitely can feel overwhelming sometimes and can be, not an easy row to hoe. So definitely, I would say you and your crew are of the hardest working ones at the track, and you're not scared to sling parts when you have to. There's plenty of guys that do that, but it seems like inevitably that's just kind of part of your weekend. You're always slinging a lot of parts around and making things happen. So good to see things go your way this weekend. Lowering that record the way you did. I think you got a little over a tenth over Charlie Fish now, and I mean, really, honestly, that last pass, with your truck being hurt up towards the end, kind of shows like there'd be potential for even more. So, still have potential to keep going faster this year once you get that motor fixed up. But Had a little bit of a squished rod by the time the weekend was over.
Yeah, it was a short-lived victory. It was real fun Saturday night. We had a good time, watched some pulling. Uh, went around the pits, kind of thanking everybody that helps. Zach Pierce, Nathaniel, and them that are always down there helping out. Us Ford guys trying to stick together, and all the Firepunk guys. You guys are always willing to help me out. I don't know why, but you guys do. But
Well, at end of the day, we
it
just want to
was
see everybody go
short-lived because I knew
fast.
we had to. I know. It was short lived though because I knew I had a wounded animal sitting there, and it bothers me to sit there and look at a broken truck. So we came home. Me and Alex went and had lunch at Texas Roadhouse, and I kind of gave him a look, and he's like, "We're working today, ain't we?" And I was like, "I'm pulling that engine out. I hope you're coming to help." He made it about I think about 2 hours in. I looked over and I got a zero gravity swing in the shop that sits in front of a TV, and I kind of heard some like snoring noises, and I looked over and I think he was out for a good 20-30 minutes.
Little power nap.
It was it was
Yeah.
it was rough, but I wanted to know what was going on, and I wanted to
Yeah.
know. It's to me, I thought we spun a rod bearing because we had lost oil pressure so many times. Which shout out to Hot Shot Secret because I don't know how the engine didn't spin a bearing. I lost oil pressure 3 times at full power. Like I mean, it was
Yeah.
during the middle of the pass, and the bearings looked perfect. It just
Mm-hmm.
flipped out. I flipped the pan off of it, and I looked in. And I'm like, whoa! I didn't expect to see that.
Right. Yeah. No, that was probably one of the bendiest rods. I know it's probably making up a word, but whatever. That I've ever seen that didn't break. Like that was pretty impressive. That thing hung on there somehow.
Yeah, I when I saw it, I felt really dumb for driving the truck around to like the winner's circle and stuff now because I'm like, man, at any second this thing could have just said, "All right, I'm done," and cut this block in half and
Hey,
like
but
made a giant mess. That'd have been my
you got
luck. I've been
you
pulling at the
got
trailer and made a giant mess on my trailer.
well, but you won Pro Street with a 6.0 and you drove it to the winner circle, so that's pretty cool. But sounds like you have some, I don't know, winter projects in the works. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, everybody kind of knows the billet blocks are floating around now. Jesse's really getting those lined up. The plan is to get one of those 7 liters actually dropped in the Pro Street truck and figure that out. So that'll drop us some weight and get us closer down to that 4,400 because we're about with me in the truck. It weighs like 4,720 right now. So
Wow.
losing 200-300 pounds will be a bunch. But then there's
Yeah.
also been in the work for a while now, but us over at WDI and the team, we're going to actually field a pro mod next year. It's a early style Ford Lightning, like well, not early style, but like the early 2000s style step side that it's been built for a while, and it's going to get a billet block dropped in it. And hopefully, we'll have that out early next year testing and be ready to go for Rudy's spring event.
Awesome. That should be sweet. So I'd
But
say probably anybody that's a crazy Ford diesel guy can send their applications to you to be crewman next year. It's gonna take a couple hands to keep two trucks running, huh?
it's going to be interesting. The plan is I've already talked to Greg about it too, with driving 2 pro vehicles and 2 pro categories right back to back. It's going to be a little interesting, but yeah, if we're going to need all the help we got. I know I'm going to have the Warren team pretty much taking care of the pro mod, and I've got my guys that have to know this Pro Street truck front to back because we have to work on it so dang much. It seems like it's always something. The funny thing is with the Pro Street truck, it's always something different. Like it's
Yeah.
never just, oh, we broke the tranny again, we'll pull that
Right.
out. Now we went to this 4R, we don't ever have to really work on it. This weekend was high pressure oil pumps. That's the only
Yeah.
part in the truck in the trailer that I don't have.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's called racing, because I mean, as soon as you fix one thing, you find the next weak link, and just keep going at it. I guess if it was easy, everybody would do it, right?
The thing I like about this the most is there's quite a few people out there in the 6 liter world that keep telling me they're coming after me and they want this record and blah blah blah. And I'm like, if you want to work hard enough, you can go ahead. I don't have much of a
Right.
life outside of this.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, I've got about 5 minutes left on this thing, but figured I have to pick on your dad a little bit. I guess first off, I'll brag on him because I we had a I don't know, next door neighbor experience this weekend, pitted next to you guys. Just seeing you guys' whole family out there, how your mom and dad support you is really cool. Your brother's always out there as well. Just seeing your whole family out there racing is a lot of fun to watch. But then your dad was racing the quad cab this weekend, and let's just say that started out the weekend as a little bit of a learning experience, huh?
It was entertaining because he always gives me crap. He's always like, why'd you cut such a slow light? Man, I could do that. Let me get in that thing. I'm like, okay, Dad. Okay, whatever, Pops. He jumped in the crew cabin his first time up there. He spooled the truck up 4 times in the driveway before we left, like perfectly. You have to use a spool jet in that thing because I have an extremely tight converter in that truck. But he spooled it up perfectly. I'm like, oh, he's good. He might get screwed up by the tree, though. He might get nervous. And he went up there and he made his first pass. And I saw him go flying by while we were working. And he pulled the pit. I said, what'd you do? He goes, well, the tree just dropped. I wasn't even in there. I said, you timed out? He goes, yeah, I think so. He goes, man, that stuff happens fast. I said, I told you.
Yeah, I was in the RV when that happened, and we were all watching, and definitely a lot of black smoke. I think he had enough black smoke at the starting line for everybody the weekend, but yeah, it's kind of entertaining. And then the next pass, I think it was, we're in the bus doing tuning, talking about stuff or whatever, cooling off, and we have a good view of the track. We're just sitting there and watching, and I see your dad's up, and then I see you come running over to the fence, and as your dad goes by, you were kind of late getting over to the fence, barely saw the pass or whatever, and I just, it was another one of those kind of not perfect starts or whatever, and I just see you go over there and like you shake your head and kind of shrug your shoulders and you walk off, and
Well, no,
we had a
that
good
was the
little
pass
chuckle.
so the first pass he timed out. He goes up there for the next pass, and he pushed through the brakes. He got it spooled up, and in the first ball, then he let off the brake a little too much, and he rolled all the way through. And then he stopped, and they dropped the tree on him because I saw him go flying by, and nothing lit up on the scoreboard. And I was like, "What is going on right now?" And he came up and he goes, "The brakes didn't hold." And I was like, "How much boost did you leave on?" And
I
I
don't
told
know.
he just kind of was realizing real fast, like, this, you can't just be anybody and go up there and jump in a truck and get in this
Yeah.
lane, and like,
Yep.
there's a little bit to it.
It definitely takes a little bit something to keep your head, and to 7 seconds is a very short time when you're kind of feeling rushed and don't have a truck spooled or whatever, and it definitely happens pretty fast, but he'll get the hang of it. I mean, he ended up having a decent weekend and figuring it out. And do you make it a couple rounds in racing, or how did that go?
No, he impressed me. He his 2 qualifiers on Saturday, he actually went an 070 and an 080 light. And I was like, well, dang, the old man's cutting a better light than I am today. I know they're on a little bit slower tree, but
Yeah.
still, he was kind of giving me a little razzle. He's like, hey, what are you
Right.
doing over there? And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, you worry about what you got going on. I'll worry about this over here. So then he went up there for first round, and he went 0.02 red. He
Okay.
red lit.
Oh man.
And
Yeah.
he came back and he was so mad at himself. He was just here a minute ago and he's freaking talking about it.
Yeah. Well, they
He's
say
telling
if
me,
you're
man, well, what we got to do to get the truck better? I was like, well, I can put some different brake pads in it and give you a little bit looser torque converter. That'll probably help you out a little bit.
that would help, and just good old seat time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, cool. I greatly appreciate you chatting with me twice today. And hopefully I did it right this
Anytime.
time. It says I'm recording, so hopefully, I didn't screw this up too bad. But, well, cool. We'll let you get back to it, and we'll catch you at Rudy's.
All right. See you, Lynn.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.